Good evening and welcome inside Blackie's Bulldog Tavern. Tristan Hobbs along with head coach Marty Fine. This is the Marty Fine Coaches Show on ON 1240 in the Bryant Sports Network. Coach, happy Monday.
Happy Monday to you. There's some good parts and some bad parts. It's like a lot of Mondays.
Yeah, it started off rainy, but now a nice sunny afternoon for us. A little chilly today, though. It's the weather really turned on Saturday.
Well, I don't know about today. I've been inside all day, but I was outside Saturday for a while, and it was had some pleasant moments like winning, but it had some hard moments like the warm-up. We went out to warm up an hour before the game, and I was looking to hitch a ride with Noah. I had my thumb out, my pant leg pulled up. I was doing anything for a ride. That was the coldest I've been. I can't tell you. The rain was coming sideways, hitting me right in the face. Couldn't see the warm-up, couldn't see anything. Heard those guys at the other end yelling and screaming. I was just trying to survive, get to the game.
I think we might have almost jinxed it, Coach, because we talked about the game against Wagner that was 6-2 a number of years ago. I think we might have almost brought that upon ourselves last week, but it cleared up for game time.
I have to tell you, if you were going to give a game ball out for that game, you'd say the grounds crew.
Outstanding job.
Outstanding job. The field was terrific, wasn't it? I'm not supposed to say the word terrific.
I didn't see anybody lose footing or really any skid-outs.
It really went well. They did a remarkable job of maintaining the field so that the footing was fair for everybody. I thought the weather was a factor more with the wind than with the rain, and in general we were really pleased with all of the parts of the game, including the football, but including all the parts of the game. I thought the game was really well done.
It was a 27-17 victory for the Bulldogs over Wagner on Family and Friends weekend. Coach, you improved to 2-1 in Northeast Conference play. You're right in the thick of things, tied for second right now with Wagner. And your thoughts on the game initially from what you saw on Saturday?
Now, we beat Wagner.
You beat Wagner.
So tied something, but we're ahead of them.
Yes.
Okay. So we're in second place.
Correct.
Okay, let's say it like that.
All right.
Good. I'll sleep better tonight.
Got it.
But we can't catch the first place team.
Nope.
All we can do is worry about our games.
Correct.
And this week we played Duquesne.
Correct.
Who was the preseason favorite, who played in the playoffs last year, and have all their best players back. They have arguably the best quarterback in our league. I'm sure he's been an all-league quarterback the last couple of years, he and the young fellow at Sacred Heart. So we know that we can't get distracted. We know that the chore that's in front of us is a big chore. It's a big bite to take. We have to go on the road, 10 hours in a bus, all the way to Pittsburgh, play in cold weather at Duquesne, who is the best team in the league. So we have enough to worry about without getting distracted by all those other kinds of things. And we have a short week. I have to tell you, when you just sit back from a coaching standpoint, they played Friday night. So they had all day Saturday to work while we were playing a game. So they got a day ahead of us there. Then we have to drive Friday and Saturday. We won't be at our desks watching film and working. So they have a 3-day work advantage, and we're getting Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So we have 3 full days with our kids. So they have twice as many opportunities as we do in a 1-week game because of the travel and because of they played on a Friday night. That's a huge advantage. That's a huge advantage. It's like having an open date. And so, you'd say that the cards are stacked against us in a lot of ways, other than I was thrilled with how our kids played on Saturday. I can't tell you how proud I am of them, the effort, the competitive nature, the bounce back, the resiliency. I was really proud of this team and these kids, and I knew I would be. I never for a minute doubted we could do it. A lot of other people did, but I never doubted that we'd be able to come back and play really well again. I never said that would lead to a win or not, because you're playing good football teams in our league, and on any given day in our league, you could win a game or lose a game, and you know that as well as anybody when you watch as much football as you. But I knew we wouldn't go out and throw a clunker. I knew we would play hard, and we did. We played really hard and really well and played 4 full quarters.
Coach, whatever you want to call it, I'll say answered the bell. Your team really did that on Saturday.
I thought so.
I thought from the first play of the game, you could see that there was the determination there, and your team was locked in.
The intensity, the attention to detail, the focus. We didn't have any wandering going on. We had great attention to detail, and we had some young players that the game sped up a little bit, and we, I think, did a good job of getting them back on track. But when you look at all 120 kids, I thought their preparation, I thought their caring, I thought their intensity, I thought their willingness, because you have to be a really willing partner when you play this football game. It's very hard to do. I thought all those things were terrific, and really proud of the team.
Coach, you said you were sure this team was going to bounce back like this. Was there a point during the week, last week after our show, that maybe you saw that come to fruition for you?
Well, one of the hard things about coaching is knowing what's going to happen. We all try to. If I had a crystal ball and I knew what would create a good performance on Saturday, I promise you we would do it on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. In all my years as a head coach, we've had games where we practiced really well and then didn't perform well. And then we've had weeks where we didn't practice particularly well and then played great on Saturday. So you never know what those things mean. But in general, the better you prepare, the better you perform. Because you're not going to play better in the game than you did in practice. And like they talk about Pascal. Cam Cameron, who I worked for a long time, was the smartest football person I've ever been around. And he would say you have to be able to throw at 100% completion when it's just one route. One guy running one route with nobody else on the field. And then it's 90% when it's a full group. And then it's 80% in Pascal. And then it's 70% in a team setting in practice, just to get to 60% in a game, which is the goal. That's a lot of levels. Every time it gets bigger, your performance is going to suffer. More things can go wrong, the more moving parts there are. And when you go to the game and you're playing against an opponent you don't know, you've studied them, but you don't know what they're going to call and what they're going to do, and you have no. And it speeds up, and there's people in the stands, and the TV cameras are on, and everybody's yelling and screaming and calling you names. It's hard for your performance to get better than what you did in practice. And that way, football's different from a lot of other sports. Go watch a team take infield practice, and they hit nice, easy grounders, and they catch them, and they throw them around. They're not hitting smash or one hops at your face, but they expect you to make that play in the game. Football's the other way. Football, the practice has to be harder than the game in order for the game to slow down for you. Well, I thought last Tuesday's practice was the single best practice we've had all year. We went out there at 6 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday, and I thought the performance on Tuesday from the older kids on our team was better, more intense, more team-oriented than at any day in the year we've had this team. And so I felt good on Monday. You heard me. But after Tuesday morning's practice, when I went back in, and a lot of times I'll feel one thing on the field and then go watch the video of it, and, well, there was good intensity, but, boy, we made a lot of mistakes. Or, I thought we had great attention to detail, just not a lot of intensity. Or, I thought we were good, and then we went and watched the film, and, boy, we were pretty good. And then we played pretty good on Saturday. And we practiced very good Tuesday, really good Wednesday, and pretty good Thursday. You'd like it to trend the other way, but in general, the practices were good and the performance was good.
The Bulldogs defeated Wagner 27-17 on Saturday. They were getting set.
And those Wagners have a good football team.
They do.
I mean, tough. You were down on the field. Those are well-coached, good-looking. Their head coach, I told them this before the game. If you were measuring, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but
go ahead.
Listen sometimes.
Yes.
If you were just measuring from the day we played them a year ago until the day we played them this year, those 365 days approximately, and nobody in our league has come as far with their team as he did in his first full year. Last year was his first year as a head coach, and when you go in, you have to change a lot of things. Even if he was on the staff before, you have to put your own imprint on it. That takes time. It took me a long time here. His team came so far in that first full year against us from a year ago. That was really impressive to watch. That young fellow did a really nice job. His kids played hard, and they played the right way, and they're very good players, and they'll win a bunch of football games.
Bulldogs defeated Wagner 27-17. We'll talk more about that game when we come back. This is the Marty Fine Coaches Show on 1240 the Bryant Sports Network. Welcome back to Blackie's Bulldog Tavern. This is the Marty Fine Coaches Show on 1240 in the Bryant Sports Network. Tristan Hobbs along with the head coach, Marty Fine. Coach, you got your 100th career head coaching victory on Saturday over Wagner. In your time at Sonoma State and at Navy Prep and here at Bryant, your 100th career victory, so congratulations.
I didn't know that. Someone told me that Saturday night at a dinner party. But I didn't know if it was true because I never bothered to count. And my son was on the commercial. I just asked him. He didn't know. I guess it means I'm old. You know, when I was young, when I was young, I didn't value the longevity of folks as much. I thought to be in the Hall of Fame, you didn't have to play 22 years. I thought that was an accumulation of numbers. I didn't think 300 hits was as important as some of the other things. But I guess as I've gotten older, I value more age and experience and longevity. And I don't think those are bad things. I think that I think that's really a nice thing for all those kids that played for me all those places. And you know, I was lucky. I've had great kids. The 2 years at Sonoma State and the 2 at Navy Prep, I wouldn't trade those for anything in the world because they trained me on things to do and things not to do. You know, I learned a lot working for some great coaches. You know, before here, Dan McCarney at Iowa State and Camp Cameron in Indiana. Elliot Uselak at Navy was as instrumental as any of them. He was great with me. And I can go all the way back. Bruce Thomas, my high school coach, is probably the most instrumental coach in all the things I do today still, because every time I have to think about what to do, I think about, you know, how I was raised in football to do things. I started going to local high school games when I was this high and just idolized those older kids. But I can remember all the way back in the second grade, going to my first college football game. They took the little kids in New York area where I grew up, and they took us to St. John's. And I thought they were the biggest kids in the whole world. Turns out there was little Division III football. They ended up dropping football. But they looked like giants to me. And one kid gave me his chin strap. I kept it on my wall for 10 years, a dirty old chin strap. And I just hope that along the way that I've touched kids and made this good for them too. The wins are nice, but the kids I've had a chance to coach are much nicer. And I'm glad I've been able to have the longevity. And I'm really glad that President Makeley and the institution has seen fit to support us so much and stay with us for so long, because there's always ups and downs. But I think in the long run we're doing it the right way.
A long way from your first win against Carroll College to your 100th against Wagner College. You switch coasts, you switch levels, but still a 100th victory, Coach. Congratulations.
You know how I won the first game?
Onside
kick return. We got ahead of them. Mike Zorn threw a pass. Kevin Cooper, we got ahead of them. They were going to onside kick it. Petrino was the head coach. And they bounced it, and a young receiver from San Diego caught it, Ray, and he ran the other way because they were coming this way. And he just caught it and ran and went right down the field, scored, and the game was over. I remember it like it was yesterday.
Well, Coach, you had one of those.
And we had a great football staff. You know, you ever see those pictures where all these guys now? The offensive coordinator on that staff is Tim Walsh. And Tim is now the head coach at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. He was the offense coordinator at West Point. He was 14 years the head coach at Portland State. He's a tremendous football coach. And we had a bunch of guys on that team. Lenny Wagner was on that team, and Lenny's now the head coach at Santa Rosa Junior College in California. Those guys are coaching all over the place. Mark Gibbons was our captain at linebacker, and he's the defensive coordinator at St. Francis Lock. I can remember all those kids, and I'm so happy that so many are involved in athletics and football. And Jesse Williams was a defensive tackle on that team, and he's a defensive line coach at Ohio University. Might be at Northwestern now, but coaching. And I love the fact that so many of our guys have gone in and done that over the years.
Well, I guess it's perfect then that in your first win you had a onside kick return for a touchdown, and then your 100th you have a 97-yard kick return by Matt Sewell that really kind of changed the face of the game. When they had just made it a 3-point game, he returns the next kick 97 yards for a touchdown.
Matt Sewell was terrific. All the kids on that team were terrific. Christian Marty and Josh Jefferson, that back line, they really did a great job of walling things out. But I thought the defensive stand before that to hold them, I thought that was one of the biggest segments of the game. I thought on offense there were 4 or 5 big plays that really got us out of, not a jam, but were momentum changing and that kind of stuff. I thought Matt Sewell's 2 returns were big moments. But defensively, I thought that we had some stands and some moments of real where our defense really grew up and really played the right way and played hard. You're not going to just shut people down in this world. They're too good. But I thought really our defense was the difference in the game. And we're going to need that again this week. I thought offensively, there was Mitchell Baxter had a critical 3rd and 8 catch in the 4th quarter. I thought Joe Fine had a huge play. We were trying to get in, and we really didn't have enough offense from the 15 to the 5. and we rolled out one way and threw a ball back, and he went running down the sidelines and dove and just then came up short of the end zone, but got us right down near to that scoring zone again. But on offense, we had a lot of kids play well. Dalton played well, and the offensive line had their best day. But the two that stood out to me the most were Hunter Towdy and Brendan Femiano. I thought we were able to run the ball, keep our defense off the field a little bit more, control the ball for periods of time. We had 2 drives, more than 6 minutes. That's a lot of football. We had the ball 33 minutes. Really, I was really pleased with the way the game went. If you go back and say, okay, well, we'd like to get this sack and that interception and this call, and, put this ball on the run in this spot and, go catch that one. I thought in general that's the best we've played, and I thought there were some kids that we need to step up here in this last month that did on Saturday, and now we got to continue to do that.
13-7 was the score, describing this defensive stand you mentioned at the beginning. 13-7, Wagner has the football. Your team is flagged for unsportsmanlike conduct as the quarterback was taking a slide. Very close call. Dalton Easton didn't get the call in the first quarter. They get the call, and all of a sudden it's 15 yards. Now the ball's at the Bryant 30. Your defense, though, holds them to a field goal, makes it 13-10. You mentioned that, Stan. That's how it went. That was a big, for your team, your defense to respond to an unfortunate penalty and still make some plays.
Yeah, I won't call the penalty unfortunate. We have to protect the quarterbacks.
Yes.
The game, when your quarterback isn't playing, the whole game changes. Nobody wants to watch that. So we need to protect the quarterbacks. That's why the rules are in place, and I don't have a problem with the calls. That being said, I thought it was a well-officiated game. Like I said at the beginning, it was administered well. It was well-officiated. The ground crew was great. A lot of positives. But when you get to the football part of it, they have 1st and 10 on the 30. We're backed up. It's a close game. It's a one-score game. We need to make a stand. We need to let it get over our heads. We need to break on the ball. We need to create pressure with 4. I thought that right in that segment, I thought that's where our kids really showed up the best.
Bulldogs defeated Wagner 27-17. We'll take one more break. When we come back, we'll talk about the Bulldogs' next opponent, the Duquesne Dukes. This Saturday, they go out to Pittsburgh to take on Duquesne at noon kickoff. This is the Marty Fine Coaches Show on ON 1240 and the Bryant Sports Network. Welcome back to the Marty Fine Coaches Show on ON 1240 and the Bryant Sports Network.
You know why your voice sounds like that? Because you're yelling at the help. Stop yelling at the guys that do all the work.
This is Tristan Hobbs and head coach Marty Fine. Coach, your team getting set to go out to Duquesne this weekend, take on the Dukes, the preseason favorite. They were last year's champion. You guys have always played well against them. It's always been a good game. Really 2 quality teams, coaching staffs. It always seems to match up well.
They've been terrific games. They beat us some, we beat them some. But in my mind, it's the two of the more fundamentally sound teams in the league. It's 2 old offensive line coaches. Their coach, Jerry Schmidt, and myself, both were offensive line coaches, both detail guys, both want to block and tackle, both. So the styles match so well. And, all fights are style. And to be honest with you, that's why Sacred Heart and St. Francis with all the blitz stuff, those games look herky-jerky. Whether you win or whether you lose, there's never rhythm to them. This game has great rhythm to it. Their quarterback is a terrific player. Their 2 running backs are very good. But they have arguably the best receiver in our league. Well, now, number 11 at St. Francis, I think. But Capers, transfer from Arizona, is as good as any of them. So they have an elite receiver. They have an elite quarterback. And that makes them very dangerous on offense. And then defensively, holy cow. I don't even know where you start. But they have, I think, the best defensive player in the league in the outside linebacker, 43 Coons. The other 2 linebackers, one's a Penn State transfer. The Stone, as a freshman, was the freshman of the year in our league, I'm sure. If he wasn't, he should have been. And now on the back end, they're better than they've been. They have 4 kids that can go cover your man and play zone. It's the best tackling secondary we've seen all year, including the Montana States and the Maines. So they pose a lot of problems from a tactical standpoint, but it's a great opportunity, I think, is what it is more than anything else, to really show how far we've come and that we can compete at the high levels of the league once again. There's an interesting thing. We were sitting here, you were yelling at the help, I was being nice to people, which is typical for those that don't know. And behind us there's a big television screen, and they're on there, and it says, is the season a failure if the Cubs don't win the World Series? What have we become where if you don't win the World Series, nothing else matters? There's no accomplishment. I understand more than anybody that there's a scoreboard and you need to win games. But the end can't justify the means at this level with our age children. They're student athletes. How they do in the classroom has to matter. How they behave has to matter. And you have to coach them well and give them opportunities to win games. They've never had a league champion win every game in our league. And that's however many years we've been in the league. And I can go back even further. But it's never happened. Everybody wins. Everybody loses. The thing we're most proud of is we've never been at the bottom of it. We've never bottomed out. We've been in the top half of the league every single year.
500 or better.
Played for the championship several times. We need to win one of these years. But you can't get lost in that maze of thought. You have to concentrate on the one that's in front of you, and you can't get to the point where you believe if you don't win them all, you're a failure. That's self-destructive. It's not accurate. There's no reason to believe in those things. The reality of the circumstance is that you learn great lessons by being involved in college athletics. You get great work ethic and great lessons and great deep discipline, and you have to put your ego aside to be part of a big group like ours. And those are lessons that these kids will have for the rest of their lives. When you go back and say, I won 100 and some games, the reality is that the happiest thing is to hear the successes all those kids have. When 30 years ago, Gus De La Pena played for me, and now he sends me a text, I hope you got the videos, and boy, all the lessons you taught us, we were talking about them in a reunion, and we still believe in them, and we still talk about them. And you come out to the game, and there's Mr. Reif and Mr. Edwards, and the impact we've had on their children. And if you can do that and win, then you're doing the right things. And it doesn't mean you're a failure if you don't win. You're just not as successful as you want to be. And there's a gray area in there that I hate that society is losing. You could do a lot of great things, not get the ultimate goal, and still have a lot of accomplishment and learn a lot of lessons. I understand the higher you go, the less that's valid. I do understand that. There is a place where it's win at all cost. I hope that Division I AA college football is not that place yet. I hope that we still value the education of the students. I hope we still value the all of those intangible things we can bring to people's lives to make their children's lives better. I hope when we recruit them, it's not we're going to win more games than somebody else. I hope it's that we'll help your son on the path to a great education, a great degree, a great job, and when he gets that job, he'll be able to be on time and work harder than other people and be more diligent and have more attention to detail, all those lessons we learned, and he'll understand those lessons have value because we'll have won because of them. That's what we're trying to do. And yes, we want to win a championship. Yes, we will win a championship. I believe that from the bottom of my heart. But we're going to do it the right way. We're going to do it with the right kids where character and academics and family matter more than how tall you are or how high you jump. And when we have to throw that away, when we're going to prostitute ourselves out to the point where winning is more important than the values we want to teach the children, then I'm truly a dinosaur, and I've outgrown what the purpose of this thing was. I never started coaching to get rich. I started because my high school coach said, you should try this, you'll be good. He was right. He was right about everything. And nowadays, people see Nick Saban make $7 million, and people apply for a job, and they say, well, that's not enough money. If you're getting in this for the money, you've missed the point. The purpose of this is to help educate our youth through the athletic realm, to make them better people for our society. So when they leave our schools and they go out in that world, they are better prepared to be successful and competitive in the right way with ethics and morals and values. And as soon as that's not the purpose of it, boy, it's past me. And there's a danger of that happening. I've talked to people and been places where that wasn't the case. And I really think that's a bad thing. There's so much money now that you can be prostituted too quickly and too and there's so much value in these other things. It still should never usurp the reason we all started this, and that's for the kids. And that's my soapbox, and it's a bad one, and I understand that, but I won more than 100 games, so I'm allowed to have a soapbox every now and then. We want to win this game, but we're going to do it with character and class and dignity, and we're going to represent everybody that ever walked across the stage at Bryant University and got a diploma the right way. We're going to make every single one of them proud of our effort, our commitment, our diligence, and hopefully our success. That's what we're trying to do this week, and I promise you we're going to do our very best.
That was really good, Coach.
Well, these two are asleep.
You brought your
you like it.
You brought your philosophical shows today.
Well, because you look at the thing and you say, are the Cubs a failure? No, they're not a failure. They won most games in the league. Yes, they'd like to win the World Series, and yes, I hope they do at some point. Nobody should have that monkey on their back. And I have to tell you, I root for Terry Francona as well, because when they want, and I'm not a Red Sox fan, as you well know, but they treated him so poorly on his way out because of whatever the reasons were, when all he did was try hard. He won a couple of championships. Did he win every game? Of course not. Nobody wins every game. It just doesn't happen. But did he do it the right way, with class and dignity? Did the people he worked for, did the people he was coaching, did he treat them with respect? Did he give them great life lessons? Did he give them opportunities to be successful? Yes, he did. I don't know the gentleman. I've met a lot of big-time coaches in my life, and the one thing that stands out the most along there, not just all our competitive nature, because we're competitive. You know, if a whole bunch of Division I coaches win, we'd bet about which window drop got down the windowsill first. But also the compassion and the joy they get from teaching the children those great lessons, that to me carries much more weight.
The Bulldogs play at Duquesne on Saturday, a noon kickoff at Rooney Field. Noon.
And why is it Rooney Field?
I don't know.
Rooney from the Steelers.
Is it?
Absolutely. So they play in a great venue. You know, Fordham has Lombardi Field, and they have Rooney Field. We have Burns Stadium. We have the best field in the whole league.
3-1 at home this year.
And I tell you what, the field was great this weekend. So we thank all the people around for all their support. It was raining, it was cold, it was windy, and the place was jam-packed full of people. How exciting is that?
It was an awesome
day. We
have
have a great following. We can't tell you how much we appreciate it all.
We'll see you guys on Saturday, noon kickoff from Pittsburgh as the Bulldogs take on Duquesne. Follow us on this broadcast, ON 1240, or watch on NEC.
Well, you're stumbling over all kinds of things. You didn't have the notes. Where's your notes?
I know. You got me going. I'm thinking
Finish
about...
Finish the thing.
We'll see you on Saturday,
See you Saturday, folks.
We'll see you next Monday here at Blackie's Bulldog Tavern. This has been the Marty Fine Coaches Show on ON 1240 and the Bryant Sports Network.